It began with a whisper. A rumor carried from barracks to bazaars, from temples to mosques, that the British had done the unthinkable. That their new rifle cartridges were greased with the fat of cows and pigs, an insult to both Hindu and Muslim soldiers. It was a small story, but in a land already scarred by conquest, that whisper would become a roar. And soon, the greatest rebellion of the 19th century would set the Indian subcontinent ablaze. This is the story of the Great Rebellion of 1857. By the mid-19th century, the British East India Company was not just a trading company, it was an empire. Its flag flew over more than 200 million people. Its soldiers, many of them Indian, marched under orders from foreign masters. For a century, the company had conquered India piece by piece. Bengal, Awadh, Punjab. Kings were dethroned, taxes rose, farmers lost their land. Ancient traditions were dismissed as superstition, and the pride of India's warriors turned to resentment. It was an empire built not only on muskets and money, but on humiliation. And beneath the calm surface, the land was boiling. In early 1857, in the garrison town of Meerut, Indian soldiers, or sepoys, were issued new Enfield rifles. To use them, they had to bite open greased cartridges. Rumors spread that the grease was made from cow and pig fat, an insult to both Hindu and Muslim faiths. When the soldiers refused to obey, they were stripped of their uniforms, chained, and thrown into prison. The next day, the barracks exploded. The sepoys rose in revolt, storming the armory, freeing their comrades, and turning their weapons on their British officers. As the sun set, fires lit the sky. The rebellion had begun. And the cry echoed through the night, to Delhi. Delhi, once the heart of empires, now a faded memory. Within its red sandstone walls lived Bahadur Shah Zafar, the last Mughal emperor. A poet, not a ruler, a symbol, not a sovereign. When the rebels reached Delhi, they begged him to lead them to once again become the emperor of Hindustan. At first, he refused. He was old and powerless. But history rarely asks for permission. He raised his trembling hand, and the dream of a free India was born. For the first time in centuries, Hindus and Muslims fought side by side, under one banner, the emperor's banner. Delhi had risen. The world watched as rebellion became revolution. From Delhi, the flames of revolt swept across northern India. Kanpur, Lucknow, Jhansi, Bareilly, Allahabad cities turned into battlegrounds. At Kanpur, Nana Sahib, betrayed by the British, declared war in vengeance. At Lucknow, the British residency came under siege, months of hunger and fear. And in Jhansi, a young queen, Rani Lakshmibai, became the face of defiance. Mounted on horseback, clad in armor, her infant son tied to her back, she led her soldiers into battle crying, "Main apni Jhansi nahi dungi. I will not give up my Jhansi." Across India, peasants, nobles, and soldiers fought side by side. It was not just a mutiny, it was a people's war. But the British Empire was vast, disciplined, and ruthless. From Punjab and Calcutta, reinforcements arrived, British soldiers, Sikh regiments, Gorkhas. They encircled Delhi, determined to crush the rebellion's heart. 4 months, cannons thundered day and night. Inside the city, rebels fought street by street, their courage outlasting their ammunition. But division and hunger took their toll. When British troops finally stormed the walls, Delhi became a graveyard. The Red Fort was seized. Bahadur Shah Zafar was captured, his sons executed. The empire of the Mughals ended, not in glory, but in exile. Delhi fell silent, its streets soaked with history and blood. Even as Delhi burned, the rebellion fought on. In Kanpur, Nana Sahib vanished into legend. In Lucknow, the siege ended in slaughter. But in Jhansi, Rani Lakshmibai refused to surrender. She joined forces with Tatya Tope, leading her troops through central India. They fought the British across dusty plains and stone fortresses. In June 1858, near Gwalior, she rode into her final battle. Witnesses said she fought fearlessly until her last breath, a queen-turned warrior, immortal in defeat. Even her enemies bowed their heads in respect.
By the end of 1858, the rebellion had been crushed. City after city fell. The British unleashed terrible reprisals, executions, burnings, and public punishments. The land was scarred. The British called it the Sepoy Mutiny. To them, it was treachery. But to Indians, it was the first great cry of freedom, the first war of independence. In its ashes, the East India Company, once the richest corporation in the world, collapsed. The British Crown took direct control of India. Queen Victoria promised peace, tolerance, and equality, but the empire only grew stronger. The rebellion had failed, but India would never be the same again. The Great Rebellion was more than a war. It was a revelation. It showed that India, divided by caste, creed, and language, could stand together, that the spirit of resistance could survive even the mightiest empire. In exile, Bahadur Shah Zafar wrote, "How unfortunate is Zafar, for even 2 yards of land were not granted to him in the land of his beloved." His words became prophecy. For 90 years after, Indians remembered 1857, in songs, in stories, in silence. From its memory rose the leaders of a new generation, Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, who would finish the fight their ancestors began. When the tricolour rose above Delhi in 1947, it carried the shadow of another flag, the one raised by rebels a century earlier. The Great Rebellion failed in arms, but it succeeded in awakening a nation. Because freedom does not begin with victory, it begins with the courage to rebel. Thanks for watching. If you like this, you'd love to learn about how the East India Company went from traders to rulers. Watch the video on screen to see how that happened. And subscribe for more amazing videos.